At least today, we can close one of the holes left behind in this hallowed ground, left by a heinous terrorist attack over 22 years ago. Less than 1 hour ago, we received the final approval necessary to transform a place of death and destruction into a place of life and community, creating a live, work, play environment, showcasing once again to the rest of the world that you cannot keep New Yorkers down. And we, as New Yorkers, and our magnificent buildings will always rise up. And I want to thank the members of my team who never gave up, even in the darkest, most challenging hours, along with amazing partners, starting with Senator Brian Kavanaugh, who represents this area with heart and compassion, our council member, Christopher Marte, who's joining us, help from labor. Labor has been extraordinary. The jobs that are being created to build, but also those who serve the buildings afterward and the people who live in them. Manny Pastrick, president of 32BJ, I want to thank you for all you have done for us. Extraordinary, extraordinary. Having a borough president who believes that people need safe, wonderful communities to live in is also a tremendous asset. A great friend of ours, Borough President Mark Levine. Mark Levine. You can applaud these people. The New York Building Congress is in the house. Carla Shashura, thank you. We saw you yesterday. You had a chance to talk about my priorities once again, and thank you and all your members for what they do every single day. And also, Victoria Farrelio? You tell me how to say it, because everybody mangles my name. Mariello. Thank you. Thank you and the members of the 100% Affordable World Trade Center Coalition. I started my life as an activist. I know how hard it is, and I thank you. And directly from my team, Hope Knight, the president and CEO of Empire State Development. Hope. And the woman who has joined with me at the hips in making sure we build and build and build more housing, our Commissioner of Housing and Community Renewal, Ruth Ann Visnauskas. Let's give them a round of applause. He cannot be with us here today, but I also want to thank Rick Cotton, the Executive Director of the Port Authority, who's been the steward of the comeback of this site, and whose effort in the end here, and as I'll describe it, helped us seal the deal. I want to thank Mayor Adams for his support from City Hall, and another mayor, Mike Bloomberg, for having the vision of the rebirth of this site over 2 decades ago. As I mentioned, World Trade Center, this site holds some of the darkest memories, but also holds our brightest hopes. And from the darkness and despair of 9/11, a vision of New York that honors those we lost but builds us back stronger and more united than ever before. In the aftermath, the community, the people who had to endure so much, they came together with civic leaders, business leaders, developers, elected leaders, and they decided that we can go from a place that was known for offices and commercial space to a 24/7 community. And as a result, it went from a community of residential people lived down here, maybe 15,000, to over 70,000 in that time frame. A flourishing downtown neighborhood, the very opposite of what the perpetrators of that heinous attack envisioned. And many said it couldn't be done. Who's going to live down here? Well, it's fascinating, those who live down here and now work in buildings like where we are today, the majority of whom are in their 20s. They're young. They read about 9/11 in a book in school or hear about it from older family members. But they are the ones who have seized the opportunity to redefine this place. And we are continuing to prove those who bet against us so very wrong. So 2 decades later, Lower Manhattan has been transformed, and this building is a shining example of that. But also just look at the 9/11 Museum and Memorial, the Oculus, the Perlman Arts Center opening up to the world in just a few short months. And one World Trade Center, which quickly became an iconic symbol of our skyline. And it's not an accident that it's 1,776 feet high. It was a reminder, an intentional reminder of the birth of our nation, but also the rebirth of this site and this community. Its very existence makes a strong statement that we're Americans, we're New Yorkers, and we are resilient. And today, we're taking an unprecedented step forward, reaffirming our commitment to a vibrant, vital downtown Manhattan that understands that the vitality of this great city hinges on our ability to build more housing. Let me repeat that. The vitality of this great city hinges on our ability to build more housing. And back on January 18th, not long ago, I announced a bold new approach to addressing our housing crisis here in the state. First of all, I said, I will not wait. The state will not wait, nor will our communities wait. And as evidence of that, literally 1 week later, here we are today. Another week, another major housing proposal. A proposal that once found itself on life support just a short time ago, and it's been revived. So I'm delighted to announce that, as I said, less than 1 hour ago, the Public Authorities Control Board, a major step in the process, approved a major development here at 5 World Trade Center that'll bring residential housing to the site for the first time ever. And it's not just any housing development. It'll have 1,200 new apartments, more than 6 times the number of residential units created in Lower Manhattan in any given year. And here's the best part. 1/3 will be permanently affordable to low and moderate income New Yorkers, making this the largest affordable housing development in this place. Just think about it. A family of 3, single mom who's a new teacher, someone who's starting out as a firefighter, a police officer, those starting salaries make them eligible to be able to live in the community that they protect. That's extraordinary. And also, we're reserving place here for those who did live through the trauma and the terror of 9/11, saying that you deserve to have this be your home after what you witness, that very few human beings ever had to endure. So you participated in this revitalization. You never gave up. You stayed. You persevered. And yes, you deserve the privilege of living here as well. And also that would include the many first responders who put their lives on the line at a time when the future was so uncertain. They deserve our gratitude, and they deserve a great place to live. And this is going to be a symbol of what we can do. It'll include some office space, some commercial, but a vibrant new community center operated by the Educational Alliance. That's going to bring new life here. We'll also allow space for local organizations to gather, have their meetings, grow, thrive. And here's what's extraordinary. We expect construction to begin next year. This is not 3-5 years down the road. This begins next year. And I'm so proud to say that it'll be built by the men and women of organized labor, over 10,000 union jobs. And I want to thank the building, construction. We have our steam fitters here, the Building Construction Trades Council, and all the hardworking people who are going to be here coming in. And as we witnessed yesterday, often under very dangerous conditions, but they'll show up. They come, rain or shine, heat wave or torrential rains or pandemics. That's why this city kept growing during the pandemic. They work so hard. And when the buildings are built, who's going to work in them? Well, I'm really proud it's going to be members of 32BJ. Anybody from 32BJ in the house? Perfectly on cue. So this took those of you who have the scars to show for it. That would be my team in particular, and our senator, everyone, the developers. Took years of discussion in the community for stepping up and in going to meetings and enduring and putting up with so much and making sure you were heard. And you were heard. And all the negotiations and the opposition, and there were times when this looked like it was dead just a few months ago. And it was clear that the PACB wasn't going to support a proposal that came before it in one of its last meetings. But we were not to be deterred. This was too important because the people who are affected by 9/11, who could live here, or those who don't make a lot of money but are part of our public service ranks or just trying to get by, they don't have a lobbyist. They don't have a powerful advocacy group other than the people here. But they also have a governor who says we can and we will build our way out of this affordability crisis. Because the past has not worked for us, my friends. That's one of the drivers of why people are leaving our state. It truly is. And why other states around us have the ability to possibly surpass us. Are we going to let that happen, New Yorkers? No. Not now, not ever. And I say that 1,200 units, 1/3 of them affordable, is far better than no outcome at all. So we teamed up, took a bold approach, powered through the obstacles, and again brought this back from the grave. And we put our heads together with our state leaders and conversations with Brian Kavanaugh morning, noon, and night. Me talking to Andrea Stewart-Cousins, the leader of the Senate, who wanted to make this happen but wanted more give and take. Speaker Carl Heastie, Charles Hall. We said we can make this happen if we have to dig a little bit deeper. We got creative. We found financing from other sources. $40 million direct from my administration, $20 million from the state legislature, 10 from the Assembly, 10 from the Senate, $5 million from Battery Park City Authority, and the Port Authority, foregoing some reductions in rent, pending approval of their board. I feel pretty good about it, though. We figured out the formula because we didn't walk away. We walked toward each other. And that's how we got to the right place. So I'm so deeply grateful, again, for the coalition of advocates, what you've done, the Lower Manhattan community, the city officials, all of our partners. It wouldn't have happened without all of you. And again, this coalition for the Affordable 5 World Trade Center. I don't know where you're going next, but let's work together. Because everyone should be able to call this place. It should be accessible as a home because they deserve it. Now, as you heard last week, I laid out a different approach. A no longer a wait and see and hope things get better approach, because that's not who I am. I laid out a bold plan to address the housing crisis all across our state. As I mentioned, it's one of the reasons people are leaving. People want to be here. They truly do. Because of a lack of housing supply, and this is real basic economics, less supply means prices can go up. How do you overcome that? You build more supply, and then prices start coming down. And that's what will happen. And so this is how we deal with it. Bold visionary projects like we're celebrating today, but last week I also announced a series of executive actions to promote housing growth across the state. It's not just a problem here, it's happening everywhere. A breakthrough strategy to unlock housing opportunities everywhere. You just saw what we did in Gowanus. Unlocked 8,500 residential units and 3,000 permanently affordable homes at a place that has been a wasteland. And now there's an energy and excitement, a sense of hope. We did that last week. That was a good week. How do you top that? You come here to this site. And as you can tell, there's a drumbeat. We're going to keep marching forward. Every single week, we'll find a way to build more housing because New Yorkers deserve it. I'm also prioritizing over $650 million in state discretionary funds so a community listen up. If you're going to say you're part of the solution and not the problem, there'll be money to help you meet your needs and your goals for your community. Make a commitment. Show some skin in the game. Start working on it, and you'll be rewarded. We're also identifying state-owned properties. Didn't know there were so many everywhere. Every time I see a vacant space, do we own that? Do we own that? Can I put a house there? Can I make that come to life instead of a vacant parking lot? We can repurpose old existing buildings. We can make new life come out of barren wastelands. Because I like to build. And we're streamlining regulations. Another barrier. Well, how long will this project take? Oh, maybe 10 or 15 years. Why is that? The need is there, the property's there, the developer's there, the community's behind it, because we put in place so many layers of red tape over years. The regulations that protect health and safety, the environment, they stay, they're good. But let's not make it such a burden that people say it's just not worth it. So that's all on top of last year's $25 billion 5-year housing plan that's intended to create 100,000 affordable housing units. So, as I wrap up, and I'm excited today, this is a very good day for New York. It's not just about the skyscrapers, although they're magnificent, the offices, the apartments. It's about the people who inhabit them. Never lose sight of that. And if you do, just walk around this floor. See the artists who are here residing, showing their vision, their image of New York, and it's so positive. People who worked here during the pandemic when there was no place to go, some of these artists are extraordinary. And now they're able to showcase their work. We're going to bring more people like that here to tell their stories, give them a home. It's the essence of what makes New York so unique and why so many people want to be here. It's about building back stronger, more vibrant than ever before. And sending one final message to the terrorists on 9/11 who tried to destroy a way of life, thought they could bring us down. But we did more than just survive. We thrived. We flourished. As you look out, you don't just see glass and steel. You see a testament to the human spirit, the triumph of hope over fear. And nothing will ever dim that beacon of hope that we provide to the rest of the world. We'll never dim the memory of those we lost. So we carry that torch of hope not just for ourselves, but for the generations of New Yorkers to come. And this building, World Trade 5, when it is complete, will finish the 20-year vision that was dreamed of at a time when others were too exhausted, too knocked down to dream, but we dreamed right here. We'll show the world what we're made out of as we continue to do. New Yorkers prevailed, and they always will. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And allow me to bring up Senator Brian Kavanaugh, who has me on speed dial. I wasn't going to say lose my number, but you can keep my number, keep calling, because we're aligned in our objective to make this be your district so exceptional, and it truly is. So, Brian Kavanaugh.
Thank you. It is really a great pleasure to be here today for this really exciting announcement. Let me begin by adding my thanks. The governor thanked many of these folks, but just the governor's, the whole executive team, starting with the governor herself. I'll say more about that in a minute. But Ruth Ann Wisnauskas, Hope Knight, James Katz, Micah Lasher, Catherine Garcia, the Battery Park City Authority, really who have been, many people have been working on this project for years and years and years, and it is a huge challenge. It's been through a lot of challenges as the economic environment has changed, and of course, those of us, insisting on certain levels of affordability and other things have made it more challenging. So we really appreciate the engagement and the work. Elected officials, Congressman Dan Goldman is down in Washington fighting the good fight, but has been a huge participant in this and still advocating for some federal money for this project. Assemblymember Fall, Councilmember Marte, Borough President Levine, the leaders of both houses of the legislature, Andre Stewart Cousins and Carl Hastie, whose support and ultimately some money that they directly intervened to get to this project have been essential for this. The mayor and city have, from the beginning, actually, and even in the prior administration, insisted that there be affordability at this, and have, come through at the end to fill out the resources necessary for this. The developers and the laborers and the construction industry that are still year in and year out committing to this city, even as it's gotten challenging. The governor talked about how challenging and, concerning it was after 9/11 when people started talking about this community as a community that may never come back. And yet, year in and year out, people are reinvesting in our city. It is very challenging to put projects like this together. And, we thank them for their efforts and for, again, sometimes putting up with those of us who make demands that they do a little better. The community advocates, Victoria, Mariama, Jill Goodkind, Mariam is Mariam James. I don't think her full name's been said yet. Also Richard Corman, who is dealing with some health issues and can't be with us today, but is a big part of this. And the community board and Tammy Meltzer really have, from the beginning, said this is necessary. It's very good to work in a community. In many communities, when you talk about building affordable housing, people say, no, we don't want affordable housing. This is a community with far too little affordable housing, where people from the very beginning said, yes, we need affordable housing. We insist on affordable housing. I also want to thank my own team. This has been, a two-year process, and my chief of staff, Dan Mosher, as a leader, but especially Emily Lang, who started working with me. This was her very first assignment, was to work on this little 5 World Trade Center thing we were going to do. She's worked on it for 2 years tirelessly. She's here with us today. Thank you, Emily. So the governor has said most of what needs to be said about the virtues of this project. This is really a huge addition to affordability in a community that has, over the course of 2 decades, lost affordability at a greater rate than almost any other community in this state. Before we closed the loopholes and eliminated deregulation of the rent regulation system, this was the single district that lost the most housing there. Many of the tax breaks that were used to get people to move back to this community, to provide affordability in certain buildings, are expiring now because, unlike this project, those affordability provisions expired. This one is affordability in perpetuity, which is a critical part of this. So this is a community that needs this, and again, I'm very especially proud that we are adding with the agreement today a preference for 20% of these units. 80% of these units will be available as a preference for people who lived and worked in this community as 9/11 survivors, including those who responded and helped with the cleanup after the after the terrible disaster that we suffered. I want to just end by getting back to the main the star of this event, the governor. This is a very difficult time to take on the challenges that government faces. Increasingly, people look at the crises we face as insurmountable. Increasingly, there are incentives for people to walk away, blame each other, get to an impasse, and just move on and say it can't be done. This is a governor that has, especially beginning last fall, but really from the beginning of her service, has taken on the crisis of housing and homelessness as a singular focus of her administration, who has taken brave steps to take on the entrenched interests that prevent housing all over this state, and has come to the table with very big solutions. This proposal, as the governor mentioned, was tough. It was looking like we may not come to an agreement, but it is very much the governor's willingness to take those calls and to her personal involvement in this and her insistence that we all work together and get this done that is making this happening today. So I want to thank the governor for that. I want to pledge that I will continue to work with you to make sure that we do what we need to do on housing.
Please welcome to the podium the president of 32BJ, Manny Pastrich.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many elected officials out here and our friends in labor. Is 32BJ in the house? 32? BJ! All right. My name is Manny Pastrich, and I am the proud president of SEIU Local 32BJ, representing 85,000 members here in New York. I do want to say that whenever I come down to the World Trade Center site, I really take a moment to give respect to the thousands of lives lost to that terrorism on 9/11. May the people who just showed up to work on that day, the brave emergency responders, the 24 members of the SEIU 32BJ family who lost their lives, rest in peace. But that's another reason that today is so important, because every time I come down here, I'm also reminded of the resiliency and the strength of this city. The imagination, the know-how, and the commitment to build and create something new. Kudos to our elected leaders, the Port Authority, the Silversteins, the Douglas Durst Organization, the men and women who built these sites and will build this site, and the men and women who protect it. People imagined what this could be, and then they've done the hard work to make it a reality, and we're all thankful for that. And as the governor said, this is the second time I've had the honor of sharing the stage with her, as she has used the power of her office to make something new, to make sure that empty lots become homes, become neighborhoods, and that we can build something new and important in this city. 32BJ is the airport workers, the door people, the janitors, and the security officers, and we keep Manhattan buildings running. But our members expect us to continue to protect and expand quality union jobs. So first and foremost, I commend everyone involved in the 5 World Trade Center site for ensuring that this project will allow for the creation of quality 32BJ standard jobs. 32! BJ. So our members, but this is the other thing that our members have to deal with. They have to live here, and even a union job doesn't guarantee that you can afford to live in the city with our shortage of affordable housing. After wages and benefits, housing is the #1 challenge that our members face, and there's no greater expense that impacts the 32BJ members than the skyrocketing cost of housing in the city. And that's another reason we're very excited about 5 World Trade Center. It's a guarantee of hundreds of permanently affordable units for low and moderate income New Yorkers. This is a wonderful example of how the city and state can build affordable housing, can build housing, and create good quality jobs. And I commend everyone behind this project for also committing to offer those units to people impacted by 9/11. There's no doubt we have challenges ahead of us, but today we have an example of something right. 5 World Trade Center is part of the solution. We need more Gowanus redevelopments. We need more 5 World Trade Centers. We must have permanent solutions for our housing, for affordable housing, and good jobs, and the governor is providing the example of that, and we thank you. We also thank Senator Kavanaugh, Assemblymember Hall, Congressman Goldman, and Borough President Levine for their tireless work to make sure that the affordability hits the right marks. So thank you, everyone, and with that, thank you again to the governor, and I get to close things, so thank you all for coming today.
Please remain in your seats as we take photos.